I'm going to share with you how you can address the three biggest sales objections when you're launching a new product or a new service in a new market segment. If you're not in sales, you may be able to use this information when you're going after a new job or you're trying to move up in your career at a new company or in a new industry that you have no experience in. The lessons that I share with you today were lessons and the things that I've learned while working as a consultant at one of the big four accounting firms in the world. And the perspectives that I share with you are from my experience as an officer in the United States Air Force. The biggest sales objection that I've seen, and I'm going to help you with first, is when you're entering a new market segment, they're going to tell you that they've never heard of you. It's going to come off as a question. Hey, how come I've never heard of you? If you're that good, if the product is that good, if the service is that good, if your company is that good, how come I've never heard of you? This stems from the belief that any good thing that is out there in the world, they are well aware of. You may be talking to someone who's well read, someone who watches the news, who watches the most recent and the current events, and they're in touch with the future trends of the industry. They also may be familiar with the big players in the industry. So they're going to say, or they're going to make a comment that implies that because they don't know about you, they shouldn't trust what you have to say, and they shouldn't explore working with you or giving you an opportunity to show them what you can do. The way I addressed this while I was working at one of the big four accounting firms in the world is I would tell them that the reason why they haven't heard of me is because I am new and I am the best. And I am elite. So you have to convince them that you are elite. You have to convince them that you believe in the strengths of your product. You have to convince them that you serve a specific clientele, that you are exclusive. You have to convince them that the fact that they have never heard of me or the fact that they've never heard of you is actually an advantage because it's going to allow them the first mover advantage, and they're going to be able to benefit from something that their competitors have not heard of. A lot of times when you think about something that's going to revolutionize the industry, something that's going to completely disrupt the way people do business, when you think about the real types of business transformations that happen in the world, they happen because someone sees something that is new. They happen because someone brings a new perspective to an old problem. A lot of the most successful company turnarounds, I was doing digital transformation. So the most successful digital transformations, they happen because someone who is very intelligent uses the best of their intelligence, the best of the creativity, and they find ways to put pieces of the puzzle together in a way that has not been previously been done. And so when someone talks to you and they share with you that, hey, how come I've never heard of you? Let them know that we don't have a big marketing budget. We have a very exclusive clientele. We only work with the best. We get all of our business from word of mouth. And we're not in the business, or we don't spend a lot of time doing marketing. We spend the majority of our time and the majority of our investments on making sure we have an excellent product or an excellent service. And we make sure that we invest in being good instead of just looking good. So if you're able to convince them that there is a reason why they've never heard of you, and that reason plays into the strength of your product and the strength of your service, then it's going to be a win. And each time they're reminded, or each time they have to tell someone else, hey, I'm working with this new company, or I'm considering working with this new company, and no one has ever heard of them, but they're really exciting because X, Y, and Z, those words that they tell other people are going to be the same words that you shared with them. So make sure that when you're addressing this particular objection, you are clear with why and the reason why no one has ever heard of you, and link it to some sort of strength in your product. Hey, we have the most technically advanced product, and we spent a lot of our energy making sure that we have the best product, and we did not spend any money on marketing, or we have not spent as much money on marketing. Or we have the best people, we have the best talent. We invested the majority of our budget on making sure that we have excellent professional development. And that's the reason why we are able to deliver the highest quality service in the industry. and we have not spent as much money on marketing and the things that make us look good. We spent the majority of our budget on things that actually are good and that deliver value to our clients. As long as you're able to say that confidently, you say that with 100% belief, you'll be able to convince them that the fact that they've never heard of you is actually an asset. Moving on. The second most common, most frequent, and the biggest objection that I've heard while while we're going into new markets, and some people may think that just because you work at one of the big four accounting firms in the world, people are going to open up the doors and they're going to roll out the red carpet and they're going to do business with you. That's not how it works. We have to compete. We have to deal with these sales objections every single day. And we have to be not just excellent consultants and excellent project managers, but we also have to be excellent salesmen. The next thing that I've heard is, okay, you all want to go into this industry. Um, your product looks okay, your service looks okay, but you do not have enough experience. You hear this in so many words. They're going to tell you that someone has more experience or that they are working with their current particular vendor and their vendor has a lot of experience in the industry. Their vendor may even know their business more than you know their business. Their vendor may have a long-term relationship with that client. They'll also say that, hey, you're a new firm, but they're essentially going to share with you that they have this particular sales objection. This objection can completely sink your opportunity to turn them from a prospect into a current client if you don't know how to handle it correctly. So whenever I heard that, and you can use this, you can steal this from me. Whenever I heard that I did not have enough experience, I always turned it around to use it as an asset. And so they'll say, "Hey, you guys are pretty new in this space, or you're pretty new in this market segment." What I would tell them is, yes, that's by design. The reason why we're going into this market segment, the reason why we don't have as much experience as anyone else, yet we're bidding on this particular project or this particular opportunity, is because we're bringing fresh ideas. We are we have a new perspective. Our lack of experience means that we're not complacent. We design custom solutions. We have a bespoke approach to partnership. We have a long-term view about our clients, and we listen to their challenges, and we listen to what is unique about each client, and we take time to learn them. And so when you think about our experience compared to someone who has much more experience than us, you may find companies out there, you may find firms that you can work with that have more experience than us, but they're not going to have more creativity than us. They're not going to have a better approach at partnership. They're not going to have the ability to deliver. They're not going to have that hunger that we have. See, if we had more experience and we were the dominant person in the industry, we'd probably be complacent. The people who have a lot of experience, you may meet them and they have one solution that they've done at one company. They have another solution that they've done at another company, and they're going to take that solution that they did at that other company and they're going to just copy and paste it and bring it over to you. And because they have so much experience, the way that they make their money is they have a lot of different clients, and they're able to use that experience to get additional and more clients. But in my humble opinion, you don't want to just work with the firm that has the most experience. You want to work with the firm that has the best solutions. And because we don't have a lot of experience in this particular industry, we're bringing more creativity, more diversity of opinions. We're bringing more diversity of solutions. And we are going to be able to solve the problems that you are facing much more effectively. And we'll be able to design solutions that are completely new with our new perspective. We'll be able to have a new approach to the same problems that you've been experiencing all throughout your industry. We're not used to working under the same constraints. We're not used to we're not used to working under the same expectations of performance. Our levels of performance and our expectations for the industry and the expectations that we have for your company, the vision that we have is not constrained by the years and decades of experience that some of our competitors have. We're brand new and we act like it. We want new solutions. We will use all of our creativity. We use all of our intelligence to make sure that we design custom solutions for each client. I said all of that to say, and that has been very effective in addressing that objection. I said all that to say that if you experience someone who is giving you an objection based on how much experience you have, make sure you turn it around and you begin um, using that lack of experience to signal that you will have fresh ideas, to signal that you are on the leading edge, to signal that you have a new approach to the same problems that they're experiencing. And each time they think to themselves, this person or this firm has low experience, let them know that there is a reason for that. There's a reason why you are hungry. There is a reason why you're not complacent. There's a reason why your solutions are going to be fresher. Your ideas are going to be fresher. There's a reason why you're going to have an exciting new approach to some of the same problems that they've been experiencing year after year, month after month with their current situation. If you say that with confidence and you truly believe it, you'll be able to address that objection. I know you'll be able to address it because I was able to address it multiple times in multiple situations across multiple industries with varying levels of teams on different types and functions of projects. Always link your lack of experience in a particular industry or the lack of experience of your product or lack of reviews of your product, lack of reviews of your service. Always link that lack of experience with freshness, with new ideas, with newness and freshness. And newness and freshness are something that those win themes resonate very well. They do very well. Versus you couch it as like, hey, we're the fresh people, they're the old people. We're the new people, they're the old people. And so that lack of experience, it actually plays into your favor. Make sure that when you're describing why that sales objection should not resonate or should not stand, make sure you say it in such a manner, and you may need to practice this. Make sure you say it in such a manner where they can repeat that sales objection mitigation or the things that you're saying to address that sales mitigation. Make sure that you're saying it in such a manner where they can repeat it back to someone else. Hey, yes, of course we're new. Or yes, we don't have as much experience as anyone else, but we have newer ideas. Say it in such a manner where they can repeat it to someone else and they'll sound intelligent about your company or your product or your service. You can also send them an email after you meet with them, after you do a sales call, or after you have an in-person meeting. You can send an email that highlights or that packages up their sales objections and the things that you have said to neutralize those objections. Therefore, they can use that email and send it over to whoever they need to send it to in order to schedule follow-on meetings or in order to convince other people at their company or at their firm that you are the candidate to go with. That works in a lot of different situations, but just make sure you're go with freshness, go with newness, because using new and fresh and those ideas and those themes allows you to effectively um, get over that objection about lack of experience. The last one I'll go cover, and this is another big one that I've seen across multiple projects, is when you're going into a new market segment and you have a new product or you have a new service, um, they're going to tell you like, "Hey, this is a new thing. I don't think my team can handle it," or "This is a new um, service. I'm not familiar with it," or "This is a new product. I don't think I can invest in the training of it." They'll say a lot of different things that imply that they are concerned that they're going to be able to get the value out of your product or your new service. And in my opinion, that leads to a lack of confidence in your product. And that lack of confidence in your product or a lack of confidence in your service, it's understandable because you have a new product or you have a new service and you may be going into a new industry. And so when someone has a lack of confidence in your product or your service and you're going into a new industry, a lot of times that lack of confidence will get manifested by them telling you that, hey, we just don't have the money, or we don't have the budget, or they'll tell you that they can't pay for it right now, right? When that happens, and they say, hey, you're just really expensive, we're not sure if we can do it. It's never about the money. It's never. I would almost say like 99% sure. When people tell you that they cannot afford it, it's because it's not about the money. You can always set up a payment plan. You can also, we understand credit cards, we understand debt, we understand how to pay loans, we understand how to make payments on bills. It's usually never about the money. It's about they don't have confidence in your product or your service, or they don't have enough confidence in your product or your service. And that lack of confidence is manifesting itself in how they talk about the money and how we're going to do it and what is my team going to actually do and how are we going to implement it. I'm a little bit concerned about whether or not we're actually going to use the service. It's all about that feeling of lack of confidence. When that happens and they're expressing lack of confidence in your product or your service, the way you address this objection and the way I've addressed this objection is I'll focus on making sure initially, make sure that they understand the strengths of your product. And I know this is controversial, make sure you're upfront with them about the weaknesses. And you want to make sure that you describe the weaknesses of your product in such a manner where you are giving them the reality. You're instantly giving them credibility. You're saying that, hey, this is an excellent product. However, it is not perfect. One day it may be perfect. We're going to continue to iterate it, but these are the strengths of the product. These are the weaknesses of the product. If you have X, Y, and Z problem, or you have X, Y, and Z issue, this is a perfect product for you. However, if you don't have that issue and you have another issue that your product is not really good for, and you have another issue that your service is not really good for, make sure that you're upfront with them on the limitations of your product. That's going to give you instant credibility with the person that you're speaking with, because they're going to feel as if, hey, they're giving me an honest assessment of what their product is good for and or what their service is good for and what it isn't. If you're talking to a salesperson and they're too salesy and they're too they feel like they are exaggerating the benefits of their product and they're not telling you their honest opinion. If you are talking to a salesperson that seems like they are too focused on making the sale, you're going to feel like you can't trust the word of that salesperson. You're going to feel like, dang it, I should get someone else's advice. I should go look at the reviews online. I should hire an outside consultant and have them make a determination or assessment on what this person is actually giving me. What is the value that I'm going to be getting from it? So I encourage you, if you find someone who has lack of confidence in your product, or they're talking about they don't have enough money for whatever the reason, make sure you first communicate clearly your strengths and weaknesses of your product and what it's good for and what it's not good for. And let them know that the reason why you're communicating that is because you want to have a long-term relationship with them. And if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit. And you do not want to sell them on something that they do not need. However, if it is a good fit, you want to make sure that the partnership gets kicked off on the right foot. After you express the strengths and your weaknesses and you establish that rapport, you establish that ability to trust your word, the next thing to do is to make sure you let them know what the reality of the situation is. You have to let them know that, hey, I understand you have a concern about the budget. I understand you have a concern about the cost. When we're dealing with high ticket items, a lot of times people are going to gulp and swallow to try to figure out how they're going to afford the cost. Be very clear about the problem and as it relates to the customer, as it relates to your prospect. Be very clear about the problem that your prospect is going to experience in the future. So you let them know, like, hey, if we don't go forward with today, someday down the road, if this happens and A happens and B happens and C happens and this problem begins to develop, you're going to want to reconsider your decision if you don't choose to buy today. because dealing with X, Y, and Z problem after the fact and then trying to bring the product in or try to use the service afterwards is going to not be able to completely prevent you from feeling the pain that you're going to feel if you don't purchase today. And so what you're doing is you're giving the person tools, you're giving the person a way of deciding in the future or a rubric to use or signs to look for in the future if they decide not to purchase today. This works on several different ways. When you are not being pushy about the sale, you're being pushy, but you're not being pushy. But when you're not being pushy about the sale and you're telling them your honest opinion about the reality that they're going to be facing, you don't come off as that person that just really has to make the sale today. They may make, it's a big ticket item. They may make the sale tomorrow. They may choose to go forward with you next week or next month. You're not destroying your perceived objectivity by being too salesy. So after you make it clear, like, hey, these are my strengths, these are the weaknesses of the product or the service, follow it up with letting them know, like, hey, you don't have to purchase today. You don't. This what has worked for me. You don't have to purchase today. However, if you see this and this and this and this in the future, you're going to want to make that purchase right away. You're going to want to give me a call. They're going to think about it. Give them the tools. It's like, hey, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. But teach a man to fish and they'll be able to eat the rest of their life. What you're doing in that sales process, or when you're doing business development, what you're doing is you are helping your prospect understand the way that you have come to your perspective. You're helping them learn how to think. You're teaching them, and this may sound bad to some people's ears, but when you're prospecting or when you're doing business development, you're teaching your prospect how to think. You're giving them the tools to make an intelligent decision. You're giving them the data that they need in order to make a decision down the road. Now, down the road may be 5 minutes from now. It may be 20 minutes from now. It may be a whole year from now. But the point is, you want to begin establishing a long-term relationship with them based on trust, based on authenticity, based on transparency. And if you jump right into sales and you just go sell, 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 you'll run it. You'll run the long-term relationship because you may force them to make a decision that later on they'll have buyer's remorse and they'll end up regretting. So make sure that you're collaborative. Make sure that you're matter of fact. Make sure that you're more nonchalant. Make sure that even though you're coming off as passionate, you're actually giving them and you're establishing the rapport that they need in order to listen to your advice or listen to your perspective in the future. That's how you do it. Those are the 3 big objections that I've experienced. Let me tell you, working at one of the big 4 accounting firms in the world and being a technology consultant for them was a very eye-opening experience for me, and I got so much experience. We've seen the teams that I was on close $25 million deals, $5 million each year. I've seen $3 million deals. I've seen them all. I've seen even small micro deals like $250K, $500K, right? The idea is everyone, especially if it's a good deal, everyone is going to have objections. And if they don't have objections, then someone that they work with or someone who is responsible for the budget is going to have objections. Don't get all twisted out of shape just because they have some objections. Look at each objection as an opportunity to show them what type of salesperson you are, what type of business development professional you are. And if you follow what I've said about these 3, you'll be well on your way to closing your next big major deal. Now I'm going to talk to you. This is a little bonus. I'm going to talk to you about how you can use what I've just shared with you to drive the innovation that we need to see in so many customer experience business units. As a technology consultant and customer relationship management expert, I am very invested in making sure that I drive customer experience innovation. I believe it's an important function in a business. It's a often overlooked area of the business, but it is so critical. The problem that I've seen in most business units that are managing customer relationship management, applications, or business units that are directly involved in sales is we tend to incentivize people based on their individual performance or the individual team's performance. And we separate people, or we separate business units by profit centers and cost centers. The truth of the matter is, when you're making a sale and you're dealing with the objections and you're trying to take a product or a service into a new market, it's never an individual contributor situation. However, when we compensate people, we compensate them as if it is an individual contributor situation. Behind a great salesman is a customer relationship management application. There's a database and a whole bunch of data sets. There's IT people. There's the marketing team that is making sure that the brand awareness initiatives are operating effectively. The marketing team is doing a whole bunch of things that are out there that are preparing the market for the product or the service so that the person who is working in sales can actually make the sale. It's a team. That's why I'm communicating to you. It's a team. And so when you think about making sure that your company, your firm, your team is able to innovate the customer experience, we must take a team approach. We can't just say, hey, salespeople, it's your responsibility to make sure that we have great innovation in our customer experience so that our customers stay loyal, so that we can continue to obtain the types of prospects that we need in order to convert them into clients. We cannot just put it all on the sales team to innovate customer experience. We also can't just put it on the marketing team. I know we expect the marketing team to do their thing, and it's like, hey, how come I'm not getting my prospects? Marketing, what are you doing? What are you doing? Come on. Like, we should be able to close a lot more sales. We should have a lot more qualified leads. Why are we not getting our leads? We can't just blame it on the marketing team to accomplish or to achieve customer experience innovation. And it's also not, obviously, we can't just put it on the back office and say, hey, with the right technology, with the right this, with the right that, with the right infrastructure, with the right internal teams, with the right back office processes, then customer experience innovation is just going to happen. It doesn't just happen like that. When you identify your ideal prospect and spend as much time as you can, first step, make sure you spend as much time as you can understanding who your prospect is. And by understanding them, I mean have meetings, take them out to lunch or dinner or whatever it is. Make sure you begin to have make sure that you have a plan to continue to enhance the working knowledge that you have about your ideal prospect, how they live, how they think, what they believe, what types of activities do they like to do, what hobbies do they have, what does their family life look like, what does their private life look like. Make sure that you have a plan to continue to enhance your organization's knowledge on your ideal prospect. With that knowledge, you want to make sure that you have a plan to provide the best way to describe this. You want to find a way to provide the best industry leading. So whatever your number one industry leader is, or whoever your top competitor is, you want to make sure that you provide an experience that is better than your industry leader. That starts at marketing. We're making sure that your marketing assets are better and more engaging and more informative and more hard hitting than your top competitor. That goes into your sales team, making sure that the people that have the most dynamic sales personalities, the people who are your closers, making sure that they have the resources and the assets that they need, making sure that they have the access to the most advanced technology, whether it's artificial intelligence or AI agents, You want to make sure that your back office, the people who are going to be closing the sale and making sure that their contracts are written up, you want to make sure that they are very responsive, that they're dynamic, that as much things as you can are automated. You want to make sure that you have as little friction as possible in your pipeline. Like I said, it takes a team to do that. But one thing that a lot of people miss is when you're analyzing what you should be doing, take a take a good look and analyze what your top competitor is doing, and then iterate off of the top competitor. Do not iterate off of who you are unless you're the industry leader. Make sure that you are iterating off of who your top competitor is, or your top 3 competitors are. Because by the time you finish your innovative sprint, by the time you finish doing whatever digital transformation you're going to get through in order to innovate your customer experience, some time is going to be passed. And if your top competitor isn't doing any innovation, great, you're ahead of the game. However, if you're shooting and you are aiming to just repeat what the top competitor is doing, and they decide to innovate themselves, then by the time you finish your innovative sprint, by the time you finish your digital transformation, by the time you finish rearranging your organization or reorging your organization, your top competitor is going to be further along than you are, because they're going to be working on their next evolution. It is important for you to use the best of your creativity, the best of your intelligence, to be able to envision what product, what service, what means of engaging your top prospects that is going to be even more effective than your top competitor. That's essentially what we do. That's essentially what I did at one of the big 4 accounting firms in the world. As a consultant, I would never bring my client a recommendation that was something that we have done before. I would always iterate off of it. I would always say, you know what, that's something that we did on another client, or that's something that I saw one of our top competitors do. We're going to do something better. I'm going to use my creativity. I'm going to use my intelligence. I'm going to use the intelligence of the people that are on my team and our new ideas and new perspectives, and we're going to create something that is better. We're going to create something that is more intuitive. We're going to create something that is more engaging. We're going to create a more automated pipeline. We're going to create more personalization. We're going to use the latest technology to deliver dynamic content. We're going to make it even easier for your ideal prospects to begin building a long-term relationship, sales relationship or business relationship with your company and with your brand. And then we're going to design a way for you to retain them, to make sure that you're checking in on them, making sure that you're growing that relationship. A lot of times, the way I help people understand customer experience innovation is it's like learning how to date. When you first meet someone, you may be set up on a blind date, which is essentially a cold prospect. And when you're on that blind date, you may ask them 20 questions. They may answer 20 questions. They'll ask you 20 questions, and they'll answer 20 questions. And if that's just the date, it is what it is. Not much is going to happen. And you're going to get to know each other, and you're going to know a little bit about each other. And there's no excitement there. There's no magic there. It just is a date. That's it. And you go home. You got food in your stomach, and you go home. That's how a lot of sales teams are set up. A lot of sales teams, a lot of marketing teams, a lot of folks out there that are managing the customer experience for their firms, they're set up like a blind date. Like, all right, we need to collect your information. We need to get certain data elements from you. And then based on that, we're going to share with you what product or service we think you might be interested in. And hopefully you'll buy. And then if you don't buy, then we'll try again with something else. We'll send you a text. We'll send you an email. We'll try to follow up and try to see if we can get something there. The standard is being raised. You cannot treat your sales team and send them out on blind dates. It is important for you to innovate your customer experience so that when you start dating or when you start establishing a relationship with your ideal prospects, it feels like you're human. It feels like you're interested in them. It feels like, this person knows what my sales objections are before I even say them. They're able to pick up my body language. They're able to understand what I'm thinking before I even think it. They're able to understand what I'm about to say before I say it. They're so well in tuned with my thought process and the process that I'm going to take in order to get to the sale that it feels like they're my best friend. That's the relationship that you want to have when you are in sales or in business development and you're trying to close a major deal with someone who happens to be reluctant on the other side, especially if they have concerns about your experience, they have concerns about your marketing or why you're not well known, they may have concerns about the budget. It doesn't matter as long as you are able um, to address and to address those sales objections and to use them to begin establishing rapport in a relationship with them that can ultimately lead to a sale and a long-term business relationship. That's what we're doing. We're in the business of making relationships. Um, I believe that's the reason why I talk about love. I talk about relationships. I talk about dating advice. I talk about sales. I love relationships. I'm a technology uh, consultant, and I focus on customer relationship management applications. I hold quite a few Salesforce certifications, so you're going to see me talk a lot more about all different types of relationships and what you should do in certain situations in order to achieve your personal and professional goals. That's my message for you today. I look forward to talking to you again in the next video. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.